accepted, challenge accepted. The attitude is always challenge accepted. Challenge accepted, challenge accepted. The attitude is always challenge accepted.
We are fascinated to announce that we have another speaker who will speak for a second time on the stage of the Dev Challenge Accepted.
Ilian has a PhD in computer science and works as software engineer at Lifesum, a digital health company in Stockholm, Sweden. Ilian's programming journey began at 2003.
He's dedicating to sharing his knowledge and helping novice programmers improve their skills.
Today, Ilian is here to guide us through the often overlooked aspects from architecture to release, a journey that promises valuable insights.
Make some noise.
Make some noise for Ilian Iliev!
Challenge accepted, challenge accepted. The attitude is always challenge accepted. Challenge accepted,
Pleasure to be
challenge
here once
accepted.
again.
The attitude is always challenge accepted.
Had some great talks. It was really fun for me. I hope for you too. And what was even more exciting for me is to see so many young faces in the crowd. It's really awesome that we can see the next generations following on our path. So let's talk a bit about what we love and what has gathered us today here, building software. So how is software made? So you take a developer, you take a computer, bang, software happens. That's pretty much it, right? Yeah, in reality, it's a bit more complicated. So you start with an idea. Oh, here's a problem that I want to solve. Then you sit down, write some code, write some tests, maybe. Release, fine, everything is great. You can skip the test. I mean, a lot of companies out there are skipping the test part. It's working, more or less.
Make some noise.
It's possible.
Make some noise.
You can even do YDD, YOLO-driven development. How many of you have heard about it? No spec, no tests, no QA, nothing, just like write and release. It's, I wouldn't say working. But life is more complex, and when we talk about making software, and actually a software that is going to be with us long time and evolve, we get to a bit harder picture. And software development is a life cycle. It's not a start and finish thing. So we start with an idea. We need to do some architecture. We need to know what we're building and how to build it in a way that it doesn't collapse like 3 weeks from now or 3 years. Then it's the code, and the code and test, it's this cycle that you code, you test, like you refactor, you fix stuff, you make it better and better. And once you decide that, okay, we are good at this moment, then you go to the release phase. And once you release and customers, other people start using it, then you start seeing, oh, we have bugs here, we have, maybe we need to add more features there and so on. So you start to, your software starts to evolve. You start to add more things. You also need to maintain it because, yeah, we all know that stuff happens. We need to be able to scale and so on. So this is the more real picture of how the software life cycle works. So let's talk about the individual parts. But before that, I want to make a disclaimer here. Sometimes I'll be talking about software. Sometimes I'll be talking about features. Software is a bunch of features. So on most of the cases, we can use this one or another without changing the meaning of the sentence. If there's a scenario when one of those only applies but not the other, I'll try to make that clear. So yeah, I know that they are different. Just bear with me for the simplicity that I'll use them interchangeably. So architecture. Architecture is the base, like laying out the foundation of our software, of our product. And when we talk about architecture, we usually start thinking about the basics. gathering requirements, system design, component design. And these are all great things. Like, this is really important to think, but when we focus on that, we start forgetting things. So other things are missed. And the things that, from my experience, are often missed is understanding the problem. Usually it's like someone comes with that idea with, let's build this thing, and if you don't understand the problem, or if they say, oh, okay, let's build it, it sounds like a great idea, but you don't fully understand the problem, maybe you're building a solution for something else. When your software is big, you also need to be careful with, when you're adding new feature to an existing software, for example, you need to be careful with what else is out there. Do we want to couple this with the rest of the system? Do we want to isolate it? Think about this pre-advance, because if you don't, it may be problematic down the road. There was a great talk about tech debt in the morning, and if we're missing steps here, it's quite possible that we're creating a lot of tech debt. So, compatibility with existing systems. Our software rarely operates alone. It's either in combination with something that we have already built, or it's combination with something else. It doesn't matter if it's the CDN that someone provides for you, if it's the payment provider. There are things that are connected to your invention, and they need to work correctly with each other, otherwise you'll see a problem. You need to talk about migration. Often people say, oh, we see a problem with our system, let's change it. They sit down, write some code, fix it, okay, yeah, this is the new system, it's solving all the issues that we have with the old one, let's launch it, and then suddenly someone is like, oh, but how are we going to migrate the old users? And if you think about this later, once you've done the new piece, maybe it's not that compatible, maybe it's not going to work, maybe you need to refactor it once again and lose more time. Scalability, it depends on the scenario. For some cases you don't need to worry about, but if you have a system with lots of users, lots of clients, then think in advance if the solution that you're working on is going to scale. And we're not talking about just like, oh, we'll just throw more meta on it, we'll use 15 servers extra. Think about that it's actually going to work and scale when needed. GDPR has been quite a hot topic recently, like everyone is afraid of it, no one understands it. And for that reason, it's ignored. And when it's ignored, you end up with the fact that you release something, and then yet we don't have the case of lawyers coming to our company and saying, this is wrong, so we're going to fine you $1 billion or whatever for this. But there are already cases when companies have been warned that, oh, this is breaking GDPR, you need to think about this. And while GDPR is affecting the users, it's also affecting how our systems are organized. Where do you store your data, where are your backups, and stuff like that. So, moving to the next part, implementation. When we talk about implementation, we mostly look at business logic, code quality, tests, and these are good things. Of course, we need to understand all of this. But while we're looking at that, there are other things that are missed. Service usability and documentation. How many of you are building APIs that are used internally in the company? Yeah? Okay. How many of you don't have a good documentation of these APIs? Yes. That companies hired whole teams that are responsible for user interface and user experience. For the things that we sell to the customers, we're dedicating a lot of resources to make it intuitive, to make it understandable, to be documented and clear how to do all the tasks that you need to do. But when we're handing something to a developer that's working 2 desks aside from us, it's like, I'll just send him a Slack message how it works, and then everything is ready, and that would be fine. And when that developer leaves and another one comes on their place, then it's like, I have no idea how to use that. So please start thinking about adding documentation, especially for endpoints, for for logic decisions that are not obvious. It's normal that businesses are complex, so it's not unusual for something to be less obvious. And you have spent, I don't know, 3 hours or more to discuss it with your colleagues and to write it in a really specific way that it's solving the business needs, and then you forget it, it's working, it's tested, everything is great. 3 months later, someone new comes to the team, spends 3 days looking at the code, and I don't understand why is it so complex. Let's refactor it. So they refactor it, make it much simpler, and they have missed half of the business cases or the corner cases because they haven't been part of the discussion. So if you have this scenario, just add 3 lines of command saying that we picked this approach because of ABC. It's really helping down the road. Security. Security is quite complex. You can start from security on like, oh, your system is breachable or no, or you can talk about how stable it is from the sense of that no bad data can come in. So data validation is something that is often ignored because, oh, we're using our own mobile app and you have our own API. So we know who is sending the request. It's going to be fine not to validate it. That's wrong. First, because you can never guarantee that the mobile developers won't do something weird. And second, because as long as your API is exposed to the internet, someone will try to abuse it. It could be with malicious attempt, it could be just for fun to see if it's working or not, but someone will try to abuse it, and you need to be prepared for that and to validate your inputs, to isolate data of one user from another. You can't just allow people to go change some parameter in the URL and suddenly start viewing someone else's bank account. Also, for companies that offer multi-tier model or like free premium models for their software, it's quite often that the check for the user permissions, it's put to the interface layer, no matter if it's a web or a mobile app. And then the backend, it's like, oh, but they're checking it there on the mobile client. We shouldn't care about if the user has permission to see this or not. No, that's wrong. That can be easily abused, so be careful. Deployment and operation. So this is the release. We have done the code, we have done the testing, we're deploying our system, and then how? First, how we deploy. If you're at the beginning of your product, it's hard to convince management and even yourselves that you need to spend 1 week creating this super complex CI/CD pipeline that does everything for yourself. And that's understandable. And no one forces you to do that. What you want to have is at least semi-automated deployment. Deployment should be one command thing. If you have to do more than one command, you'll forget half of it. So try to simplify it. Try to have, it might be your own CLI tool or something that you have, but you need to have one button or one command that you share, and that's done. Availability monitoring. Everyone knows that their stuff should be live. And we add checks that it's live. And we're safe, we sleep well, that everything is working. We wake up 3 a.m. when the alarm sounds, but that's a good thing because the alarm is waking us. So everything is great. But what have we forgotten here? Metrics reporting. To understand how your system is actually working, you need metrics. Metrics are there to tell you, oh, requests are slow or fast, users are using this or that feature. Metrics are there to tell you if you have a problem or not. Error logging. It's quite problematic when you learn about an error from a client, like someone calling the customer support and saying, oh, this is not working. And the reason why you have missed that is because you don't have a proper error reporting, because we're great developers, we're making awesome software, it never crashes. Make sure that you have error logging before you release, and make sure that it works. And when we talk about error logging, noiseless services, we actually have had a talk with one of the lecturers outside that if your service or software or feature, whatever you call it, if it's producing so much errors that you can't say, oh, these are the important issues that I really need to fix, and this is just noise, then it's not working. You need to have noiseless services. You don't need things that are not important. Because what happens? You have a service, it reports 100, 200 errors per minute. So you look at half of them, you can't just, it's not physically possible to go through all of them. You look at half of them, oh, it's not important, I'll turn off the alarm because I want to go back to bed and it's 3 a.m. So yeah, and then you miss something really important, and on the next morning everything is on fire and everyone is mad and management is nagging at you, how have you allowed it? So no, try to have noiseless services. Think about what you're logging, why you're logging it, do you really need it, and make sure that you're logging the cases that are actually wrong. Evolution and maintenance. So your app is there, it's working, people are using it, everyone is happy, maybe because you also have bugs. And when you have bugs, you need to fix them. But before you fix them, you need to test them. And you need to test them because if you don't test them, you fix one thing, it breaks 5 other things. So try testing it, try to avoid regression. It will really help you in the road. So bugs are fixed, everything is working, but you need to evolve. You want to grow as a company, and that means that you want to provide more to your customers. And when you want to provide more to your customers, that means providing different features or modifying a feature so it works better for them. But before changing it, you really need to evaluate the need. Don't rush into changing your software just because you think that, oh, it will be better. Evaluate the change. See what will be better. See what will be worse. See, is it worth it, the resource that you're going to spend on doing that change? Don't rush into code or architecture decisions until you're really clear with the idea and the target that you're aiming at. Try to avoid bloating. So it's super easy that we have this piece of software, it's working, we need something else, so let's just add it here because everything is there. You have all the things that you need, you have all the models, everything is there, let's just put it there, and you start putting and putting and putting, and at some point it's so bloated that it's hard to scale, it's hard to use, it's confusing because there are so many code that you get confused just by looking at like a file that's 20,000 lines or something like this. Not to mention that if at some point you say, oh, I want to actually move this aside or like move this feature to an external provider, then it's like it's so encapsulated with all your code that you need to rewrite half the app. So try to avoid bloating. And that doesn't mean start with microservices. Microservices are a great solution for some problem, but they come with their own set of problems. So be careful, think about it, and be reasonable where it's okay to add more to one piece and when it's okay to spin it as a separate service. So we talked about the steps that we usually think about. We talk about the steps that we miss or that we ignore and don't put enough attention at. But what is causing us to miss them? What is really happening there? Are we such a bad developers that we can't remember to put proper metrics to our software? No, that's not the problem. The problem is that first, we have narrow focus. You're looking at the problem. This is the problem that I want to solve, and you concentrate, and then there's things like going on the sides that you just start to ignore. And it's hard. You just need to, sometimes you just need to step out for a moment, just forget about this, the problem that you're solving, and think about what it will be in a perfect world, how it will operate, how you're going to handle everything, and then things will come to you. You'll see. There are things that we consider a default. All our systems, they have logging, they have metrics, they have alerts, they have everything. And this comes by default, and we're so used to it that when we're thinking about creating a new service, we don't put it in the specs, we don't put it in the task, we don't account it in the time frames and our estimations. We're like, yeah, logging. Of course we have logging. That's normal. So no need to put a task on it. But it doesn't come for free. Someone needs to sit down and like configure it, connect it, write down, plug it in, and so on. One problem that is more of a mentality issue is the fear to ask questions. This is something that companies should actually really encourage a culture that people are not afraid to ask questions. Because think of it this way, everyone is a stakeholder. Everyone is a stakeholder of their own things. I'm a stakeholder for the code, you're a stakeholder of the product, you're a stakeholder of the UI. We're all stakeholders of something, and we all want to create a product that works, that is nice, something that when you go back home, you can brag to your friends like, oh, we released a new version, it's awesome, it has these great images and it's so functional and so easy to use. So we want to do that, but in order to do that, you actually need to understand the pain of all the other people who are involved in the process. Because what's happening? Someone from marketing comes to you and says, oh, we need to see this thing. And you think about it, you organize, okay, we'll take data from this, we'll take data from that, we'll be exchanging some information in this and that system. But actually, their problem is not that they don't see this certain data. Their problem is that maybe they're not selling enough. And if you don't understand the problem, you're not able to help them. You need to understand the problem to see what is the actual solution that you need to apply. Maybe it's not sending more metrics. Maybe it's just making your website faster because the problem is not the images that customers are not liking, and that's not why they're buying. The problem is that your website loads for 35 seconds, and of course nobody has the patience to wait for this. So you need to ask questions. It's not that scary. There are no stupid questions. The more you try to understand the pain of the other departments, the better you understand the whole picture, and you'll be able to provide them with better solutions. And that doesn't mean drop everything that you're doing, put all those computer science books back on the shelf and start learning marketing or something. No, you don't need to be an expert. Each one of us is an expert in our own field, but it's good to have a general understanding of what the other teams are doing and why they are doing it, to be able to help them and to be able to create a product that works for everyone. So let's talk about the effect of the steps we missed. We forgot about adding logging. Our system is crashing, you don't know, people are complaining to customer support. The reputation of your company is suffering. Another thing, oh, we forgot to make a migration plan. So what? We have a release in 2 days, there's no migration plan, you sit down, you talk about it, you figure out a migration plan, and it's going to take 2 weeks to develop everything needed for that migration. You have 2 days before release. So that means that you either invent a time machine in the next 5 hours, so you can actually fit into that time frame and make a deadline, or break the deadline. And for some companies, breaking the deadline is not a problem because, yeah, we'll just announce it 2 weeks later. It's not a problem. We can solve it. But imagine that you have announced that, oh, we're releasing this game on this date. It will be the day before Christmas, everyone can buy it, everyone can be playing it for Christmas. And then, no, we're actually going to release it next year, so yeah, spend your Christmas gift money on the competition. No, you need to think about these things because they cause delays. They cause delays and they cause reputation failures, they cause stress for everyone because nobody is happy that their product is failing, nobody is happy to see errors, no one is happy with having angry customers yelling at you or the person next to you. So be careful with the steps. But what can we do not to miss those steps? So there are different solutions, each one of them can be applied in its own they are easy, I would say. They're not covering everything. There's no panacea solution, but there are things that will definitely improve your life and make it easier. Using templates. Around 75% of developers use templates. That's a really narrow a poll that I run. So it says 75. In reality, I think it's less. Just some people are ashamed to say that they do everything from scratch because they know it's not good, but they keep doing it. So templates help. Because templates, frameworks, all these things, they come with a bunch of things that are already provided for you. You have security on the HTTP request, course checks and everything like this. You have integrated logging. You have a lot of things that are making your life better, and they come from free. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about a template that comes from an open source project or it's something that you have done internally. Use templates, they save time, they save troubles. Having a checklist, that's actually something that you can share all across everyone who is involved into building that project. So a checklist is just a set of things that you consider important and that you want to make sure that your software has. I have added an example here. This works for my case. It's not working for everyone. If you're doing something completely different like banking or gaming, maybe it won't work for you. But you can use it as an inspiration to create your own checklist. It's just a set of reminders. Every time when you launch a product and you realize, oh, we forgot about that, put it in that checklist. Next time when you're starting a new product, a new feature, just go over the checklist and see, have we planned for this? Yes, this, that. Oh, we missed that one. Okay, let's add it to the plan. It will make your life easier. There's no one checklist that fits all, but you can change it, you can expand it. You can always say, oh, that thing is not applicable in my scenario. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, and let's hope that we all have a more stable and better software.
Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can find Ilian in the speaker's corner during the next beer break.
Ooh.
Beer, finally? It's
Yeah,
here? Okay.
yes, the next break. Don't go now, not yet. So thank you very much. Please applaud Ilian Iliev!